Welcome in, everybody. It's our favorite time. It's our favorite place. Welcome to Elder Council. Welcome, welcome. I'm still learning how to work with the light because it's still light outside, but it looks like it's going to rain, and you never know when we're about to have the longest night of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's really good to see you. So welcome in. I'm live. I was waiting on something from Alexis, and we weren't able to coordinate. But we are here live now, and really happy that you're here too. So happy that you're here. Okay, so I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to enjoy tonight's experience, truly. I have so much to share with you tonight, and one of the things, I want to back up and kind of explain. How many of you are here for your first Elder Council? First one you've ever done. Anybody here for the first one? Yep, I want to know. We are live, so if you can't see me, and Nicole Humphrey, I think, was wondering if we were live. So Nicole, can you see us too? Hopefully, I'm just going back through the feed. So good to see you guys. Anybody here for your first Elder Council? Anyone? I would love to know, because I always like to start with a little what is Elder Council? Why are you here? How did we get here? What's the intention right behind this? So look at this. So Carrie, if you aren't here, you don't have to say no. But thank you for that. I just wonder who is here for the first time. So if it's your 100th time or your 200th time, just know I see you and I'm celebrating you too. So Danny, Rosemarie, Kim, it's Amanda's second, Sarah, Nikki is the first, Carrie's here for the first. Who else? Joanne fell asleep for the last three. Mic drop. Our work here is done, right? Rosa is here, and Rosemarie for the first, and Kim and Anne. E. Smith missed the last three, so you're here for your first. I'm so happy. It's your 16th. For Casey. Casey's an OG. I actually have, believe it or not, this might surprise you or might not surprise you. I do have students in my programs who've been with me for 11 years. And for some of them, this is coming up on almost their fourth dozen Elder Council. These are not people that you are going to probably see in the feed, because a lot of them are not on Facebook. But I do have some real OGs who have been here since the beginning. And so because of that, I never repeat a meditation. I always do something different. Because if you're here for your 46th time tonight, which is possible, I don't want this to get old for you. I think 46 or 47 is the longest that anybody's been doing Elder Council, which is so crazy. But I'm honored, whether it's your first or your 46th. I know, isn't that cool? Yeah, I've been teaching. I started with Magical Sabbatical, and that was 11 and a half years ago. That was in September of the first year of SG. And that's when I started the Elder Council series. So some people have been here for the whole time, and a lot of those people are behind the scenes. They're not on Facebook anymore. They're doing their whole thing separately. But they've been here with me for a long time. So whatever it is, your 12th, your second, your first, your 40th, I just want to celebrate you tonight. And I'm glad you love the series. So Elder Council is a free gift to us, right? I do it. It's not really technically a part of when we promote our programs online, we don't really talk about Elder Council because people don't know what Elder Council is. And I'm going to explain it again from the beginning. No, it's always been online. 11 and a half years ago, we were still online. Before I started Sage Goddess, though, I did a version of Elder Council in person. And that group met for years in San Diego, called the Muse. And there are still some original Muse members who are online in Sage Goddess programs who've been with me technically for almost 15 years of magical teachings. And I used to do it from my house in San Diego. Yeah, it's really crazy. This journey has taken us so many different places and directions, and it's really cool. Yeah, we did used to, about 5 or 6 years ago, we used to do full moon in person and new moon in person, but yeah, there are people from the Muse who are still in Soul Shift today who remember the 16 years ago, I was pregnant with Nick, actually, when I first started doing in-person ceremonies in San Diego. It's so crazy. And Nick is turning 16 in March, so that's 17 years ago. So I've been doing this for a minute or two or 1,000. I know. And so if you ever wonder, like, why am I so passionate or why do I still get so excited about it? It's because, like, this is... So my dream, when I had the Muse group in San Diego that used to meet in person, my dream was to make this virtual. And because I had friends in LA and in San Francisco and in New York City who were like, we can't get to San Diego. How do we do ritual with you? And I was like, well, wouldn't it be cool if we could do all of our stuff online? And at that time, the Muse group, we talked about it, and they were like, nobody's doing that online. That's crazy. And so I set a new moon intention in 2010 to bring this to a global community in an online format, and voila, here we are. So be careful what you wish for, right? Yeah. Were my senses more heightened during pregnancy? Yes, they were. But also during pregnancy, you're less protected and less, you're more vulnerable during pregnancy to energetic kind of shifts. So I had some challenging spiritual experiences when I was pregnant with both times with both kids. So I prefer to do magic when I am not pregnant because it's a portal. You become a portal, a living portal when you're pregnant. And it was a challenging time both times. I had a lot of really crazy, intense, beautiful, but also kind of scary and overwhelming spiritual experiences when I was pregnant. What made me want to continue moon work when I decided not to be a witch? It's probably an interesting conversation for tonight. I won't belabor the point too long, but it's a great question, right? Yeah. So when I was 17, I joined a priestess training program in person, because when I was 17, there was no internet. Right, the internet was kind of like discovered or created when I was in college. So when I was 17, if you wanted to do magic, you had to go and find people in person. So I found a group and I joined it, and it was a year and a day program for becoming a high priestess. And I went through the whole thing, but I decided that it wasn't for me, and they decided that it wasn't for them because I could not. How do I explain this? I've explained it a couple of times, but I feel like I never quite explained it the right way. I was raised by ministers in the Christian tradition, and I simply could not agree that there was how do I say it? I think of God as a one source, and I think God has many faces. But the pagan traditions, especially in the older days, this was 35 years ago almost, would not admit that there was one source. They wanted to see it as God and goddess, and it just went against my core beliefs and values. Do I believe there are gods and goddesses? Yes, and I'm named after one. And do I believe that they are avatars of one source consciousness? I do. But in the pagan tradition at that time, they would not accept that there's one source. You had to sort of make these claims that I wasn't willing to make. So I decided that the Wiccan path in that form was not right for me, and so I did not graduate from my program. I finished and left it behind. And what I decided was I was going to make my own way where I talked about one source. Now, do I believe that I'm named after a goddess and that she's a face of divinity? Yes, I absolutely do. But I believe that there is one source. I don't think that there's two sources. And at the time, the high priest and high priestesses of that particular school would not allow me to graduate if I refused to acknowledge that there is not just one source. Right. No, I know, Katrina. So please, tonight I don't want to get into the whole like paganism, Wicca, two different things. Like I totally get you. I hear you. I love you. I appreciate you. You're not wrong. I don't want to make tonight about that. And actually, it's going to be an interesting conversation because I think this is an important segue. This was one particular program, and I just was not willing to say out loud in an initiation that there are two sources. I only believe there's one source. And I've always been that person that if I don't believe it, I'm not saying it. If I don't believe it, I'm not articulating it. If I don't believe it, I'm not teaching it. If it doesn't resonate with me, you're not going to get it from me, right? And I will tell you, this was my experience, and I will tell you, you don't have to agree with me to be in my programs. You know what I mean? Like, you can say, no, there's 9 sources of wisdom in the universe or whatever, right? But for me personally, I couldn't do it. Does that make sense? And I do like to talk about it sometimes because it helps you understand who I am and it helps you decide if I'm the right teacher for you. But I believe, and I'll tell you something too, right? And Katrina says there are so many places to go. I've had a near-death experience. I have had profound spiritual experiences in waking state. That wasn't my only experience, my training growing up. My near-death experience, the visitations I've had in my waking state from the spirit side have all taught me there is only one. You can call that one source whatever you want. I don't care if you call it Joseph. I don't care if you call it olive tree. It doesn't matter to me. I believe there is one source of energy that then created 2 streams of energy, masculine and feminine, and that one source is both masculine and feminine. Does that make sense? So, truly, right? No, and nobody's stirring a cauldron. I just want to put my thoughts out there for you because you don't have to believe in God to like follow what I'm doing. I want you to know that in my experience, when I almost died and I went to the other side, there wasn't 2 things. There was one thing. There was one light, one source, one frequency that created everything else, including me, including you, including the plants and the trees and, our animals and everything else, right? So I just was not willing to say there are 2 sources of energy, and that got me expelled from my Wiccan priestess program. That one particular program. I'm not saying that's all Wicca. I'm not saying that's all priestessing. I'm not saying any of that. Does that make sense? And you have to remember, this was 1989? 1990. 1990. They wouldn't let me graduate. It's fine. I moved on. Everything has worked out. Does that make sense? So however you think and however you believe, I have friends who believe everything. I have friends who absolutely do not believe anything I believe in, and I think that's great. I'm not responsible for them. They're not responsible for me, and we happily walk our paths. The reason I share this with you is because, for me, I like to know where my teachers are coming from. For me. It may not matter to you where I'm coming from. But for me, it matters to know where my teachers are coming from and what their belief systems are. And yeah, my early teaching from my spiritual teachers, which was my mother and my grandmother, really had a direct and profound impact on me, right? So you're receiving that transmission through me, but it's one face of 1,000 faces of what you can choose to follow and believe, right? Yeah. Well, I don't think Source was created. I think Source created. I think everything derives from the one source, is my opinion. And I think that source didn't begin with our planet, and I don't think that source began with our solar system, and I don't think that source began with our galaxy. Did you guys come to class last night? If you did, this may make a lot of sense to you, right? We are one galaxy out of, like I told you last night, over 1 million, potentially over 1 billion galaxies in our one universe, which is one universe out of many multiverses. I have no answers for you, darling. And it feels really good to tell you that. I have no answers for you. I've done ayahuasca, 3 or 4 dozen times, which is as close as I've come to having a direct conversation with God. And even in those conversations, I'm still left with more questions than I have answers. When people come to me and they go, I know exactly how this works, I back up my truck. I literally do. I'm like, whoa, if you know, like, I've almost died. I've been with ayahuasca for, 10 years. Like, if you have all the answers, I'm going to back up my truck, right? I don't have all the answers for you, but I have some really good questions. And what I do know for sure is I'll find out one day and it'll be too late to tell you. Those of you who are still here. I might visit you in a dream, but you're still not going to understand. You'll know one day too, but it'll be too late to come and tell me. So we're here with some really great questions and not a lot of answers, right? Which is the best I can give you. But I love the diversity of our community. I really, really do. And I respect you, right? I really do. No matter what your faith and your path is, because again, like I say, like what do I know? I used to think I knew a lot. I really did. Like, especially in my 20s. If you had asked me in my 20s, I would have been like, I got this. And then I had my near-death experience and started working with ayahuasca, and I'm like, I don't know fucking shit. But I'm going to do the best I can, right? This is so complicated. And so I like to listen to other opinions, but where this conversation began is, what I will not do is commit to something that doesn't resonate with my spirit. Does that make sense? It doesn't matter what you do. But for me, I'm not going to sign my name to something. I'm not going to commit to something. I'm not going to finish a class where it violates kind of what I know to be true. And some of you know, and some of you don't know about my experiences, right? With Jesus Christ, for example, which saved my life in a very challenging experience. And so I know that frequency is true for me. But again, I don't need you to believe it. It does help some people who've come to me and said, it's really cool that you talk about Jesus and your experience with Jesus, because it's true for me too, and I don't know how to fit it in with my broader views and perspectives. So for some people, knowing my experience with that energy has been helpful for them on their spiritual path, because they tend to think of it as being very closed and very judgmental, and it's really not that. But if you've been in a very dark place and had that energy as your ally, then you start to see things very differently. I don't talk about that experience anymore because Spirit has asked me not to talk about it anymore, and I'm happy not to, because it was definitely the scariest experience of my life. but it also taught me the incredible power of light, and how some of these avatars of source consciousness are stronger than we think, if that makes sense. But I will still say I don't know. I only know what's right for me. I don't know what's right for you. And I will never judge you for it. I won't. But I will tell you, I have seen darkness in person, wide awake, and it's not something you want to encounter. I wouldn't encourage you to summon it. And I would encourage you to explore your own pathway with as much courage as you have to offer. Right? I know. Woo. But that was my initiation, right? So I don't begrudge it. It was a very powerful initiation when I had to choose what I served, and I chose. And I think at some point we all make those choices, and they're right for you. Whatever choice you make is absolutely right for you, right? Aho to that. I know. Okay, so this is all related to tonight. I'm so not surprised we're having this conversation. I am so not surprised. Listen to me. The one thing I will not do to you is be dishonest. I will always tell you my truth if you want to hear it. I will never say it's going to be your truth, because I don't know what truth is. And I will always be honest with you. And what I have learned is people want that from me. They just want to know I'm not going to feed them a line, you know, and I'm not here to do that. I am not here to feed you a line. And I also can't and won't compromise my beliefs and I will never doubt my experiences. I wasn't asleep. I wasn't on plant medicine. I was wide awake. And so those are experiences that you can't go back and take back or ignore or pretend like they didn't happen. Like, that legit happened to me. And even though it was more than a decade ago, I will be on my deathbed one day going, holy shit, that happened right in front of my eyes. So, and some people follow me because of that. And so it's very important to me to bring that full authenticity without judgment, but that full authenticity. And still say, who the fuck knows? Oh, I don't think it's happening to me again. I don't need it to happen again. Sometimes once is enough. Amen, aho, and so it is. So I'm going to show you this. Let's see if you can see that. Nope. Let me try it over here. Yay! Okay. This is the star Sirius. It's part of the Canis Major, which Canis is it's the dog constellation, right? Because it looks like a dog. Kind of, not really. We're going to talk about Sirius tonight, the star. There's actually 3 stars. Sirius A, Sirius B, Sirius C. And so, right? And probably others too. I have a friend who says, no, there's 9 stars, right, in the Sirian constellation, right? So I don't know. What do I know? I'm never going to be here going, I know everything. You should listen to me. What the fuck do I know? I've just been doing this for a while, but I'm still human. So Sirius, the primary star, is right here, but there are offshoots of Sirius in the Canis Major constellation, which is a Jupidoop away from the Orion constellation. And I want to talk to you about Sirius tonight. before we start our elder council experience. I'm going to turn my keyboard around so I don't shut shit off, because I end up knocking shit over and... Oh no. Hold on. No. There you are. Okay. So I'm not going to look at the feed for a little while. If you have questions, Karen and Alexis are here to answer your questions, because I want to focus on the camera. But I did want to make sure that I had kind of addressed some of your concerns and questions too, because I have certain beliefs and certain experiences, and it's my job as your teacher to be super transparent about those things. There's certain things I won't dabble in, and I won't talk about, and I won't look at, and you have to know why. But at the same time, I really do feel like I have an open door policy. I don't think anybody who's really doing deep spiritual work is going to say, oh, these people are wrong. But at the same time, if I don't talk about my experiences, then you don't know who I am. And I may not be the right person for you. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So I try to tell you who I am, but tell you I'll never judge you, because I have friends from every path and tradition. So does that make sense? That's why I take that time. So it's not a judgment at all. It's just about being transparent. I think transparency and authenticity are not only important, I think they're critical, because, and also I think self-awareness, we go back to the ancient Greek, know thyself. You don't have to know everybody else. You don't have to know who people are all the time, but I think if you're learning from somebody, I think you should know who they are. And then you can say, well, that resonates with me, or that doesn't resonate with me, or I worked with her for a while, but then I stopped because she was this or that or whatever. Like, I think those are good choices to make, right? So, and you won't hurt my feelings. But I would encourage you maybe now to turn off your feed if you get easily distracted, so that you can just really focus and be here now. Because tonight's journey, if you're open to it, is going to be like a really good experience to connect you with light. And it's not light from any particular source. There are people who work with the star Sirius in its Egyptian Atlantean roots, which I believe I come from that, right? And there are people who work with star Sirius for their Christian Christ consciousness roots. But I have Buddhist friends who are like, no, Sirius is the Buddha light. It's the light of enlightenment. It is the light of the highest truth in the Buddhist and Tibetan Buddhist paths. So I have Tibetan Buddhist friends who are like, no, I don't believe in like Jesus, but I work with Sirius. So I just want to tell you, like, no matter who you are and where you are, like, I think this star speaks to us all. I think the star speaks to us all. So anyway, cheers, everybody. Okay, so every time I do elder council, let me back up. When I first started teaching 11 and a half years ago, a class called the Magical Sabbatical. Sabbatical in Latin means a break. And I designed it to be a break from the stress in your life, the pressure in your life, the toxicity in your life, I designed it to be a break from everything. So that when you came here and you sat with me, you didn't have to be anything other than you were. You didn't have to prove anything. Like, I don't care about your past. I really don't. I've had people come to me, honestly. I don't know if you can buy Magical Sabbatical anymore. I don't think so. It's so old now. But I've had people come to me, honestly, over the last, 10 years and say, oh, you've got a member in your group named Joe Bob, let's say, right? And Joe Bob is a terrible person, and you shouldn't have Joe Bob in your programs. And what I have said to people like that is, first of all, who are you, and how do you know? Like, maybe you knew Joe Bob 10 years ago, but Joe Bob has do you not believe that people grow and change and evolve? Because I do. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I've made mistakes. I was shitty to my parents and got in trouble in high school and did weird shit in college. And then I've had people say stuff about like, oh, Athena's this and Athena's that, and things that are not true because they don't know who I am, and they've never, most of them have never met me or had any direct experience with me at all. So, and I only use Joe Bob because I don't know anybody named Joe Bob, right? But what I'm telling you is this. The intention with sabbatical, almost, 12 years ago now, is the same intention I have tonight. I really just want to be with you here now. And I don't care where you came from, and I don't care who you used to be, and I don't care what mistakes you made, and I don't care, honestly, much about who you were before this night, because I really believe that who you are today is what matters. And I think people have to fight to be who they are. I think society makes it really hard to evolve, because I think people put us in a box and then they're like, oh, this is who you are. Like, you're this, whatever this is, right? And who cares? I mean, honestly, who cares? If we weren't here to grow, evolve, and change and become something better, lighter, and brighter than we were yesterday or last week or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, then why are we even here? What is even the point? Why do we age? Why do we get smarter and better? Why do we evolve with relationships? Why do we, attract new communities and new friends and new partnerships? Why do we change jobs? Why do we do all of this stuff, right? So my intention tonight is to bring us back to some of those roots. I posted about this on Facebook last week too. I wrote a little poem about it. Like, I really don't care where you came from, and I don't care what mistakes you made, and I really don't care about that, because it's not relevant now. What's relevant now is, are you making choices today that are in service to your highest good? Are you trying to grow, evolve, and change and become somebody who's actually in service on this planet to help evolve us? Because it's all hands on deck. And everybody I know makes mistakes. My kids make mistakes. I've made mistakes. My neighbors make mistakes. You've made mistakes. I mean, if that's all we are, is a sum of all the shit that we've done that we probably shouldn't have at some point, then that sucks. And I don't believe that. So I think we get older, smarter, and better as we grow. And I think every experience we have leads us to a new place where we can evolve and we can become something better and brighter. I have people in my life who believe this too, and I gravitate toward them because they're not interested in the past. They're interested in the present and then what's possible for the future. So when you come here, the only thing I care about is, how are you today and what are your goals, and how do I get you from A to B? How do I get you from where you are today to where you're trying to go, right? So I really don't care where people have been and what they've done, and maybe that's not the right way to go through life. I just think we're not the sum of our past. We are the potential of our present and future. And your present is a powerful place to be, because you are constantly co-creating every subsequent step with your thoughts, with your intentions, with your focus, right? So if you can start over in any minute. We always say the new moon is your reboot, but here's what I'm going to say for tonight. It's December 15th. I really want to bring you to this moment, right this absolute minute, okay? Sunday night is the first night of Hanukkah in the Jewish tradition. I'm not Jewish. My husband is. My kids are quarter Jewish. Whatever my children are, I am also, right? So I honor that faith path and tradition, even though it's not mine. I honor it. At the end of next week, it's Christmas and Christmas Eve. In the middle of next week, it's Yule. It's the turn toward winter, and it is a high holiday. Hanukkah, Yule, Christmas, in 7 days. If you add up everybody on this planet who's going to celebrate, and that's what Yule is the start of winter, right? If you add up everybody on this planet who's going to celebrate Hanukkah, Yule, and Christmas, and Kwanzaa, right? Do you know how many millions of people that is? Do you know what they all share in common? I knew I was going to get emotional talking about this. It makes me very emotional. Hanukkah and Yule and Christmas are all about a light that guides us towards something bigger. Something bigger than we are. They all are. Yule is the longest night of the year, but it is the beginning of the return of the light. And I'll be with you live at 6 o'clock on Yule evening to talk about this. Hanukkah is a celebration. It's the festival of lights, right? 7 nights of lighting these candles to represent freedom, right, from slavery and from bondage. Christmas Eve is the birth of Christ. And this star called Sirius that these 3 shaman followed. They followed this light. It took them days to find him. They had nothing else other than Sirius to guide them to find Christ. I share this with you because no matter what tradition you come from, this is a very important week, and it makes me deeply emotional because in the middle of, like, it's 4:45 and it's pretty much dark outside right now in LA. And in the middle of this darkness, and it's been a challenging couple of years for me personally, there is light guiding you. You have to look for it. And it doesn't matter what tradition you follow. It doesn't matter whether your roots are Celtic or, which is what we today call the pagan path, right? Which is originally the Celtic path. It doesn't matter whether your roots are Jewish. It doesn't matter whether your roots are Christian or follow some other tradition. Tonight is about connecting with that light before this holy week begins. There is a light that never goes out, and it will follow you for the rest of your life. And when you die, it will be the first thing you see. And I can tell you that because I almost died, and it was the first thing I saw was this incredible light. It felt like the event Horizon. When I had that near-death experience, and they were losing me on this side, they were gaining me on that side, and it was just like all I could see and feel, and like my whole body became this like vibrating, and I didn't want to leave it because it was so beautiful. It was so big and bright, and I just wanted to be with it, right? There is light everywhere. It is your choice whether you see it and follow it or not and turn away from it. But I don't think you're here for any other reason except that you believe it too. I think that's why you're here. And the reason I'm so glad we had this conversation at the beginning of tonight about where I come from and what my faith path is and how irrelevant it is to you, because it really is irrelevant to you. What the only thing that should matter to you is your path. Is that we all come from a tradition, no matter who you are, going all the way back to Mesopotamia, to Lemuria and Atlantis. The only thing that should matter to you is, where is your light? Where does it come from? Now, I want to talk about Sirius with you tonight because it's very important, right? And I know, like, I see Cindy in the feed who is going through something right now that nobody should have to go through, right? But let me tell you something. If I can, at some point, all of us go through things where we think, I can't find it. I don't want to find it. Fuck it. Fuck it. You know what I mean? I'm grieving too hard. This hurts too much. I can't do this. Just go, right? Because and you're not wrong. Everybody in your life, whether you've hit that moment or not, because I've hit it multiple times, where I'm just like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. At some point, Spirit comes when your head is down and does this. And just says, look. At some point. Because that is the common thread that unites us all across space and time. At some point, no matter how much you were like, nope, I'm not, I'm done, fuck this, I'm not doing this, at some point Spirit goes and lifts your head toward that light, which is the light that never goes out. And they've been lifting our head toward it since ancient times. So I see you, and it's okay to be in that place of like, no, it is okay. I've been there. If you're there right now, I'm not going to try to convince you, right? At all, because that's not my job. But I do want you to know that all of us hit those moments where we're like, no. Talk to the hand. And then and I don't know who lifts your chin. You can call it by 1,000 names, and it doesn't matter what you call it. Something will lift your chin. Right? Something will lift your chin. Tonight we're accessing Holy Code. Holy Code. How many of you grew up hearing the phrase, wish upon a star? There's even like pop songs about it, right? Wish upon a star. You know what wishing upon a star is? It's a holy code activation. Last night I went outside. Yesterday was a hard day for me. It was hard. And something said, go outside. It was a really clear night. It was really cold. So I literally just grabbed blankets. I was like, no, you've got to go outside. It was hard. So I grabbed a bunch of blankets and I went outside. And I looked up and it was so clear. And I live in Los Angeles where it's just a bunch of fucking smog, right? And my heart may not be as hard as your heart is, right? And I looked up and something kept telling me, you know, wishing upon a star isn't just something that you do as like a little kid, you know what I mean? Or like, you're wishing, you're activating code. You are calling in light frequencies into your little tiny human thing that you have, right? I'm only sharing my struggles with you right now just to tell you that you're not alone. Tonight's emotional for me. It's emotional for me because this whole last year and a half has been really fucking hard, and you guys are going through some hard shit too. And sometimes it helps to know that people are going through some hard shit. Doesn't it help you? It helps me. When I look around and it looks like everybody's having a great time and they're just baking fucking cookies and stuff and everything's just great, I'm like, am I the only one who's like struggling? And if you're having a great time and you're just baking fucking cookies and it's all easy for you, like, I'm happy for you. I truly am. I want to celebrate that with you. It's not that for me right now. And so everything just said, you're activating code. You are literally receiving, right? Codes that are gifts from the universe. What's a code? A code is a message that your brain cannot interpret, but that your entire central nervous system can receive. Let me say that again. A code is not a message that you're going to go, oh, Spirit is saying, I should do this. Like, it's not in English. It's not something that, like, is easy to understand. And honestly, you may not even know what you got. But it was such an important message to go outside and look up at the stars, and not to make a wish because it's dumb, but to set an intention and to allow yourself to receive the codes that come from the stars. And what I got from Spirit last night was, it doesn't matter if you can see them or not. I could see stars last night and it was beautiful. But the message I got was, even if it's cloudy and it's snowing and it's fucked up and the weather's shitty and you can't see shit, it doesn't matter, because the stars are there. And they are sending you, they're beaming to you this holy code. And they only beam this code for these few weeks. This is it. The seasons are different for a reason, right? This is a different season. And this is a season when everyone, right, from every tradition, whether they're Jewish or Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or pagan, Celtic, whatever, it's all the same codes. It's all the same light frequency coming to us. We used to call it by different names. In Egypt, the star Sirius was called Sodpet. Sodpet. S-O-D-P-E-T. Sodpet. That's what the Egyptians used to call the Syrian star. And do you know what Sirius used to do for the Egyptians? Some of you know this. I want to take this time to teach you this because it's really important. I don't know that I'm a Syrian starseed. Some of you may know that for sure. I don't know that I am, but I've always felt very connected to it. Sodpet. Sodpet is what caused the River Nile to rise. And that caused all of the papyrus and all of the river to rise, and all of the everything to grow, grain to grow, and everything that brought abundance to the Egyptian valley, to the Nile Valley. It was the heliacal rising of Sirius that caused the Nile to rise. And the Nile rising was attributed, of course, to gods and goddesses and all these things, and like, oh, we're so thankful, and oh, this is abundance, and if the Nile rose a certain amount, then there was a certain amount of abundance. If it didn't rise enough, then it wasn't enough abundance or whatever, right? But I've taught you this before. But it was the heliacal rising, the rising of Sirius in the sky, that would cause the Nile, the river, to increase or decrease in its height. And as it would increase, all of the plants would be fed, and then all of the crops would increase, right? And then all of the Egyptians would celebrate Sodpet, right? And the rising of Sodpet to bless, right? When I was very little, my mom always put out oh my gosh, what am I thinking? What's the name of it? It's escaping me. Nativity. I'm sorry, Mom. It was the first year this year I didn't put it out because it was just too heartbreaking to put my nativity out this year. That was her nativity. And I'll tell you, just to make you laugh, my mom's nativity is from Costco. I needed to laugh too. So when she died, she had a couple of nativities, and there was one that I really wanted. It was my favorite nativity of hers. This was last Christmas. And so my dad was like, which one do you want? And I said, oh, I want that one. It's my favorite nativity. He boxed it up to give it to me. It was in a Costco box. Anyway, Costco makes a great nativity. It's beautiful. I didn't put it out this year. It was too hard. But my favorite nativity scene had these incredible representations of the wise men. And the wise men in the Costco nativity are represented as they would have been in those days as people of color, right? Because they were not white wise men. They came from Egypt and Africa and Madagascar, right? And these remote regions, and they would have been darker skinned. So one of the reasons I love that nativity is that the wise men were not white. I'm not making judgments, I'm just telling you. It felt good to laugh for a second. So anyway, I loved that nativity. And the wise men came bearing 3 gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And the reason I love that is that frankincense and myrrh are antibacterial, antimicrobial, and antifungal. They were also traded like gold. If you had frankincense, you had gold. If you had myrrh, you had gold. And if you had gold, you had gold. So the wise men came, they were shaman. They followed the Syrian star to find this child who they knew would be a prophet, right? And I don't really think of Jesus as being white either, but anyway, at least in my Costco nativity, they are representative. And so to this day, at this time, I always burn frankincense and myrrh, and I work with gold because I think of these as the gifts. They were trying, in my opinion, to keep the Christ child safe and to make sure that the Christ family had money to be able to move safely, right? So that they would be able to stay safe because there was a risk, right? Obviously with their young family. So I share all of that with you because the wise men were shaman. They were medicine people. They followed Sirius to find this child. They brought this child what they had, which at the time would have been like someone coming to see your baby and bringing them $1,000 or $5,000, right? Like these containers of frankincense and myrrh and gold would have been almost priceless. And the fact that in the narrative, that Mary and Joseph received these emissaries, these shaman, and received their gifts with gratitude reminds me that all paths lead us home, right? They didn't turn the wise men away. They didn't say, oh, you're not the right people, or what are you bringing us, or you're bringing us a bunch of your weird pagan shit, or whatever. They were very happy to receive the frankincense, the gold, and the myrrh. But I mention this to you only because they followed the star Sirius to find Christ. What else do I want to tell you? Sedona is one of the access points for Sirius in the United States, just like Giza on the Egyptian plateau is an access point for Sirius in that part of the world on the African continent. So Sedona in the U.S. is as powerful as Giza in the Giza Plateau where the pyramids lie. So if you ever wonder why Sedona is so important, it is an access point for Star Sirius. The Star Sirius does 3 things, in my opinion. Okay, the Star Sirius gathers wise people. It convenes the wise ones, and it calls them like a beacon from the 4 corners of this planet to find the other wise ones and to bring them together. And my intention with you tonight is that I want to, because the star Sirius is rising, because it will be at its highest point in the sky over the next 2 weeks, because I believe that Sirius brings the wise ones together. My intention tonight is that our Elder Council experience will bring the wise ones together. That it will bring the wise ones from your lines, from your lineage, from your traditions, whatever resonates and speaks to you, that it will call your wise ones from the 4 corners and the 4 directions to be with you. It provides direction. It shows you how to get where you're trying to go. If you are at point A and you are trying to get up to point B, Sirius is the most powerful star in the sky that you can call upon. I do believe that you can call upon Sirius intentionally, just like you call in your spirit guides. And we're going to call upon Sirius tonight, if you are open to it, to help guide us from point A to point B. And the third thing that Sirius does is it activates Akashic wisdom. I believe in the Akashic records. I believe that the Akashic records are virtual libraries of stored wisdom. I have friends who work in artificial intelligence. If this ever becomes interesting to you, we can talk about this in another time. It's not right for tonight. But I have friends who work in AI. And my friends who work in AI say that there are AI, artificial intelligence practitioners who do believe in the Akashic records. And that there's a relationship between artificial intelligence and Akashic intelligence, and that at some point AI will be a way of helping you like put on a headset and actually step into the Akash and be able to physically go through the records to be able to access wisdom. My friends who do this are very powerful, but they're in their 50s and 60s. They say it's not in my lifetime or in their lifetime, but maybe in my children's lifetime or my grandchildren's lifetime, that AI will bring the Akashics together and be able to actually help us put on, and we may not even need a headset to do it at that point, to be able to connect artificial intelligence and Akashic intelligence. So the Akashic, I know, it's not going to be for us, but maybe in our next inclination or incarnation. Starlight is a healing force, and it emits light rays that are both for individual and for group healing. Okay, and the most important thing when you are working with these light rays, which we're working with tonight, it's interesting, isn't it? We can talk more about this. I've thought about having an AI person come and talk to us in Living Magic next year, just because I'm having a lot of AI conversations and I have a lot of Akashic conversations, and I don't, these two people are not communicating in my life. Like my AI friends and my Akashic friends are not communicating. Some part of me is like, I think I have to get these people in a room. So anyway, eventually we will have access to, in a very tangible way, this wisdom in a way that isn't so invisible to us. We'll be able to access it. I know. Can you imagine going into virtual reality and being able to access the Akashic Library? Oh, because I can, but probably not in my lifetime. Okay. So everything begins with an intention. Don't you think? I'm going to do a couple of breaths with you before we go into tonight's meditation, because I've taken you on kind of a journey around all of these different concepts, and I want to take a breath and kind of slow the frequency down just a little bit. Do you see how it all came together? Everything we were talking about to this one moment? Yeah, I'll get there, Lauren. But do you see? Everything we talked about tonight, it's all in the field. My teaching philosophy, by the way, is called Case in Point. And my teaching philosophy is that anything anyone says in my classes is part of the content, even if I didn't plan it. And it's always true. That's why I don't ignore anything, or, because I just always think like, well, I don't know how this is fitting in, but it's all part of it somehow. And it's because everybody who's here is meant to be here, and every conversation we have is relevant, and everything somehow kind of is in the cauldron, it's in the soup, right? And it all makes sense at the end of the day, kind of like life in a way, right? So thank you for that. Let's slow it down. Everything comes down to intention in your life. And if there's one thing, like, long after you know me, right? If there's one thing I hope you remember, like years from now, what'd you learn from Athena? She always told me to set an intention. I hope that's the one thing that people will say about my teaching when all is said and done. Everything begins with an intention. Now, in our Western culture, we call it wishes, right? Make a wish. When you're making your birthday wishes or whatever, right? In research, I'm a qualitative researcher by training. We call it the central question. What are you really trying to figure out? Even in social sciences, we have a name for this, right? When I first started doing the Elder Council, what my spirit guides told me is that you have to come into Elder Council with a question of import, meaning a question, a need for information that is specific and that will shift your actions or shift the outcome of something in your life in a significant way. So you should not come into elder council saying, should I wear a blue dress tomorrow or a green dress tomorrow? That's an important question for you. I'm a fashion person sometimes, but that is not an elder council question. It needs to be a significant intention, a significant question. What am I doing in my relationship? Should I stay here? What am I doing in my job? Should I stay here? Am I on my path? Like, is there something I'm missing? If you can answer it with a yes or no question, it's not the right question or answer. It has to be something where yes or no isn't going to answer it, right? Should I do this? Should I do that? Because the spirits are not going to say yes or no. Even if you say, should I stay in my relationship? They're going to go, well, if you stay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If you leave, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, right? If you say, should I stay in my job? They're not going to say yes or no. They're going to say, if you stay in your job, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If you leave this job, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V. So it can be a yes or no question, but they're not going to answer it that way. You can also frame the question differently, like, am I on the right path? Am I in the right profession? Is there something else I should be doing? And if so, can you show me? How do I move in this relationship with deeper grace? How do I show up for my kids in a way that's going to support them through this phase and this stage? Am I meant to bring children into this lifetime? And if so, when will that happen, and what will that look like, right? So these kind of like open-ended questions. And if you're not sure what to ask, this is the great question. And Karen asked it, or Alexis answered it right below you. The best question you can ask if you don't know what to ask, and yes, you can have multiple questions, but the best question to ask if you have literally no clue is, what do I need to know right now that I don't know? What do I need to know that I don't know right now? Show me. Show me what I don't know. Right? For my highest good, may it be so. Right? Yeah, it's totally fine. There's no right or wrong questions. Just don't make it superficial. Let it be deep, is my answer to you. Now, I want you to take 3 deep breaths right here, okay? The first breath is going to be, we're going to inhale for 2, hold for 3, release for 4. We're going to do that twice, then we're going to do a longer one, okay? So I want you to inhale with me for 2. Ready? I'm going to count. Ready? Inhale. Now I want you to hold it. And I want you to exhale for 4. Try to do it all through your nose, but if you need to use your mouth, that's okay. Let's do it again. Inhale for 2. Hold for 3. Exhale for 4. If you can do a little longer, we're going to do a 4, 7, 8. Okay, so we're going to inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. If you cannot do that because you've got lung problems and other issues, just do 2, 3, 4. But we're going to do 4, 7, 8. Ready? Inhale for 4. Hold for 7. Exhale for 8. And now let your breath return to normal. Feels good, right? That's called a vagus breath. It lets your central nervous system know you're fine, everything's okay, and we are not in a state of stress or duress. Everything is safe. Your root chakra opens when you do the vagus breath. Your sacral chakra opens when you do the vagus breath. Your entire digestive system relaxes when you do the vagus breath. So your entire lower chakra system is at peace. And keep that breath going. You can do it in your car. I have my dad doing it because his blood pressure was spiking a little bit. He can only do 2, 3, 4, but it's fine. You don't need to do more than that. So inhale for 2, hold for 3, release for 4. The exhale has to be twice as long as the inhale. Okay, I am showing you the tools for tonight with some light at last. This is our Elder Council Divine Masters grid from the year. I'm going to light both my traditional Elder Council candle from eons ago and my Divine Masters candle from this year. If you have a crystal that you would like to charge, this is mine from Denver. It's a double term Veracruz quartz point that's very special to me, and I haven't charged it in ceremony. If you would like to charge a crystal in tonight's ceremony, go and get it. Some of these are some of my oldest crystals in my whole collection sitting here. This is a very old piece of quartz. It's 25 years old, back when I used to do in-person readings 100 years ago. This is an old piece of topaz. This is a quartz from years ago at Sage Goddess. So if you have a clear piece of quartz, you can also charge a pendulum in tonight's ceremony if you have a quartz pendulum. I would just recommend that it's something quartz, because again, this is a light frequency that we're working with tonight, right? So it could be a quartz generator, but I would do something in quartz that you're charging with tonight's Syrian Christ, Buddha, source frequency, wishing upon a star, activation, holy codes, all the things I've talked to you about tonight. So go grab something. You can charge a skull, right? Tibetan quartz is beautiful. Anything. This is Mexican quartz. You can charge Tibetan, you can charge Brazilian, a pendulum, a skull, a heart. I would just make it quartz based. Okay, if you have something that's quartz that feels good for tonight to charge, I would encourage you to have that with you. So I'm gonna hold mine in my lap, and then I'm going to anoint. We will have some new Elder Council tools for you next year. We just didn't want to bring you new tools right now. I just don't think it's necessary. So this is the original Elder Council perfume. Little at my wrist for what I do, at my third eye for what I know, at my ankles for where I go. Yeah, amethyst is quartz based, so I'm down with that. Rose quartz, smoky quartz. This is the Divine Masters Elder Council perfume. So I'm just going over that, the original with this. And then again, to my third eye for what I know, hands for what I do, feet for where I go, which covers all the meridians and chakras. So whatever you have is just perfect. I just want to show you what tools. If you have Fem Elder, that's great too. I just went with these two. I had Fem Elder in my I have in a little Elder Council box with my original incense from 100 years ago and all of that. And Karen will share with you the notes and the perfume and anything that we have left, but don't leave right now. I would encourage you to stay for the meditation, and then you can go and grab your tools afterward. Okay, are you ready? You ready to activate some code with me tonight? I chose this drum for tonight. It's not one I work with very often, but I love it. In Hebrew, it says, be at peace, but not in pieces. This artist on Etsy, her name is, do I have my glasses here? Let's see. I just want to make sure I say her name correctly, and the little sticker inside is so small. She has a drum on her site. It's out of my budget, but it's worth every damn penny. Her name is Shira Hivri. Shira Haivri. She has a drum on her Etsy shop right now that is, I think it's like $700, but it's light codes and flower of life. It's just a little out of my budget, but a lot out of my budget, but maybe one of you will go and get it. This drum I got from her a long time ago, and I love that Hebrew saying that you can break but not be broken. Be at peace, not in pieces. Yeah, so you can find her on Etsy by that name. You should get it tattooed on you. Be at peace, not in pieces. just roll your shoulders back, call your energy into present time. Be here with me now. And we're calling in now the guides and the guardians, all directions, all dimensions. That's right. Puerto Ricans say you can bend but you don't break, right? Beautiful. Same concept. I love it so much. Guides and guardians of the East. Tonight, help us call in a new beginning, a new cycle. On this almost darkest night. It's so dark outside right now where I am. I don't know what it's like where you are. New beginnings. The light is coming. It's not here yet, but it's coming. Opening new doorways to new possibilities. You are here, you are here, you are here. Into the guides and the guardians of the South. Yes. Open that doorway to passion and creativity, expansion. Dark and raining where you are. That's right. But the light is coming. It's always darkest before the dawn. And in the South, there's always that light, that flicker, that fire. The internal furnace. It's glowing inside of you. No one can put it out. They can't. We can kindle it. We can make it burn brighter tonight. You are here, you are here, you are here. And in the West, that maternal energy, that water energy, helping us to shed tears. Kuan Yin energy, Lakshmi energy. Opening doorways now to emotional healing and renewal, feeling all the things. The guides and the guardians of the West, you are here, you are here, you are here. And then in the North, grounding, stability. We're not rushing, we're not hurrying, we're always on time. Patience, presence, right? Just being here now, slowing it down. To your heartbeat. The guides and the guardians of the North. You are here, you are here, you are here. I love that, Jessica. And to the guides and the guardians now, the lower world, what's beneath our feet, right? Time, history, wisdom. You are here, you are here, you are here. Into the middle world. To each other, to you. I love you. I do. It's unconditional. I see you. I appreciate you. I know I can't fix and I can't change and I can't solve where you are. But I can keep showing up. And I can tell you that I'm not scared. You can't overwhelm me, right? I'm here for it. You do the same for me. I love you. I see you. I am you. To the guides and guardians of the middle world, you are here, you are here, you are here. the guides and the guardians from all dimensions, timelines, frequencies, avatars of source consciousness, ancestors in the light, angels and archangels who bend time and space, who gather from our galaxy and the many galaxies across our universe, across our multiverse, millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of light years away. You are here, you are here, you are here. And together we say, Amen. Aho. And so it is. Amen, aho, and so it is. Okay. I want you to have your crystal with you. I'm going to put mine in my lap. My spirit guides have been on me today to bring my hang drum over and play a little bit for you. So I'm going to take all my jewelry off and I'm going to play for a few minutes to get you into the meditation, and then I will resume with my drum. So if you're already having your eyes closed and you're in a deep state, just stay where you are. I'll be right back. Just a couple of things as we get started into the meditation tonight. You may see something, you may see nothing. You may fall asleep. They may knock you out, and that's perfectly fine. You're going to see and feel what you need to see and what you need to feel. Stay with the question. What do you need to know that you don't know right now? Just close your eyes and stay with your breath. And then I'll start to guide you in to where we're going. This part of the meditation is just for you to breathe. Let that inhale be shorter than that exhale. Just stay here. Close your eyes. So as we head now into the deeper part of our journey, I just wanted to make sure you had fully dropped in and just stay where you are. That opened all of your upper chakras. Now I'm going to come back to your lower chakras. And I want you to see tonight as a full body massage. Right now I'm on your lower back. Putting pressure there. Moving my hands up your spine to your sacral. Putting pressure on either side of your spine, between the ovaries, between the testes. Moving my hands up your spine, putting pressure at the solar plexus. And I'm just moving the energy from side to side. Feel the whole channel open from the top of your head all the way to the soles of your feet, to the Earth Star chakra. And let's see if we can open that whole channel now from Earth Star to root, to sacral, to solar, to heart, to throat, to third eye, to crown, to soul star. Imagine that portal of light opening above your head. And I want you to imagine that with your whole channel open, that your internal GPS now can track that star, that Sirius constellation. Let's find it together tonight. Let's be like the wise ones. Right? Sirius finds the wise ones and gathers them and directs them to their destination. Tonight we call upon you, Star Sirius. As star seeds, we know we can. We call upon you for starlight to activate holy code tonight on this holiest of weeks, when almost everyone on this planet finds a reason to return home to their core, to their traditions, to their pathway, to their spirituality, to their childhood, to what called them to this planet in the first place. Guide us home tonight. Be that North Star that reminds us we're here for a reason, a season, and a purpose. Let us be like the wise ones who find the pathway to exactly where we're supposed to be, with the right gifts in our hands to offer. Tonight, Star Sirius, we come to you with questions. Where are we? What should we be doing? Are we on the right path? Can you lead us in a new way, in a good way, toward our potential, toward greater possibilities, toward expansiveness, toward joy, toward health, and abundance of all kinds, financial abundance, abundance of time and health, abundance of peace in our mind, in our body, and our spirit. Help us to return to who we were when we had faith before the world got to us and made us stop believing. Help us return to that childlike sense of wonder tonight. Star Sirius, we call upon all Sirian star seeds, star beings from a dimension to come through to this timeline. If if you're open to it, invite them in now to your mind, your body, your spirit. We welcome you. You are here. You are here. You are here. We're calling upon that Syrian starlight tonight to shine down upon us, upon our lives, upon our minds, to our heart. If it feels good, I want you to invite every cell in your body to open to receive this divine starlight tonight. Let's open ourselves to cellular renewal on the micro level, every neuron, electron in our entire being opening to receive. Every cell opening, every cell turning toward health, toward vitality, toward beauty, toward peace, toward longevity. We call in that light to help us relieve us and ourselves and our loved ones even too from pain, from suffering. We know this is the light of miracles that can shift everything about our reality. It has created miracles for thousands of years. We know this is the light that guided the creation of the pyramids in Egypt along the Giza Plateau. If it can create pyramids, it can create health for you. We know this is the light that guided the wise ones to the Christ child with those sacred gifts to keep him safe and healthy. We ask for the same blessings upon our body, our mind, and our spirit tonight. Light from Sirius now flooding you through that soul star chakra and your crown chakra, and it's just bathing your entire light body. Like all the lights are on in the room, like you're a Christmas tree with 1,000 lights. Let every light turn on right now. That light comes to you from the north, it comes to you from the south, it comes to you from the west and the east. It comes from below, it comes from above, and it comes from within. We shine that light out now to everyone we love, friends and family, and all our relations across timelines. To the past, to all of our ancestors in the past who suffered, we share this light with you. Across the present, all of our beloveds, our friends, family, and soul siblings who are struggling, we share this light with you. And ahead, aho, to the future, 7 generations, our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and all generations forward, across all timelines and dimensions, we share this light with you. Charging tonight, we call upon this light to infuse these crystals with blessings of healing and peace, of beauty and transformation, of effortless manifestation. It's instantaneous ease and flow, grace. And feeling that connection now to all the sacred sites, to Sedona, to Jerusalem, to the Giza Plateau, all the places that we know vibrate with this Syrian energy. We call in that energy from Sedona, from Jerusalem, from the Giza Plateau, call it into our mind, body, and spirit, to every cell, collapsing timelines, calling in our highest and clearest energies, frequencies, again to heal anything in the mind, the body, and the spirit that needs to be cleared and healed right now, instantaneously, effortlessly. problems and these conundrums and these challenges and these fears and just bathe them in this light. Reminding us that this light has guided wise ones and seekers from across continents so it can guide us to solutions to our problems. It can remove the problems. It can create instant ease and flow and manifestation. Untangle these knots for us, Syrian guides. I give you permission tonight to move obstacles and mountains. If there's anything we need to see or know, please share that with us now. Ancestors, feel free to come closer and share your own messages, your own wisdom, spirit guides as well. We invite all of you here to show us, to guide us, to lead us. And just starting to slow down the vibration as it moves from the crown and the third eye and the throat to the heart, to the slower chakras, energy centers, solar plexus, and the sacral, and the root. And what we're doing now is we're anchoring this Syrian light in your body so you walk with it, you create with it, you love with it, you sleep with it. You breathe with it. So let's say thank you now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. They're all here. So let's just give thanks for wisdom, messages, answers, questions that came through tonight. Spirit guides, ancestors, and light beings from all dimensions, if there's anything else you wish to share, please do that now. Please help us to stay open to this frequency as we move through the next 2 weeks ahead of the new year. us to remember that some are struggling, that everyone works with this light in a different way. But open their hearts and their minds to see the beauty around them. The more who see it, the more we can experience it. Amen. Aho. And so it is. Did you know that whales and dolphins, their tones are said to be Syrian frequencies? I've always had a special affinity for whales and dolphins. So their sonar, their frequencies are Syrian. They have a direct line. Not surprising to me, but I love thinking about them. Yeah. One of my favorite stories, my doctor, who's been our family doctor for over 30 years, every year goes for 2 weeks to Bimini off the Florida coast in the Atlantic Ocean, and he works with dolphins, and he's a magic man. He really is. He keeps saying he's going to retire. I hope he doesn't. Anyway, his favorite story, he believes this too, and his favorite story is that he had been going out on this boat with these other medical doctors for decades, and one of the newer doctors was pregnant and hadn't told anybody but him on their expedition. And so he said, Athena, we went out on that boat. We've been going out on that boat for decades, and we're out there. The dolphins are all circling at a time that they normally don't circle in the day. And we're all like, why are they all coming now? And he said that one doctor, she'd gone off to the one side of the boat. And he said they all, wherever she went, they moved, and they would circle around her. And one by one, the dolphins came up, and they came up, and they were, making contact with her uterus, right? He said she hadn't told anybody she was pregnant, but the dolphins announced it to everybody that she was pregnant. So finally she had to say, okay, I'm pregnant, because everybody on the boat, they were all medical doctors doing these studies on these, like, the sonar and the frequencies of these dolphins, and she was like, okay, I'm pregnant. Like, why are the dolphins all jumping up toward your uterus and, like, you're not saying anything? And she was like a week pregnant. I mean, she wasn't showing nothing, right? It was so crazy. They are Syrian. It's one of my favorite dolphin stories. So he's like, if you're trying to keep a pregnancy secret, you probably should come to our dolphin expedition, because they're going to out you. One by one, they all came, right? Big magic. Big magic. So before we release the circle, I want you to take your crystal that you're charging tonight, whatever it is. I'm going to recharge my, this is my original pendulum too, and I've been wanting to give her a little zhuzh. I just want you to hold these, whatever these tools are that you're charging tonight with the Syrian frequency in your hands. Use your breath. I've got my jewelry too. And my 791. May these tools carry the Sirian frequency for you past this Holy Week, into 2023, into the entire year ahead, through the longest, darkest nights, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere that we're facing now. May they always carry that knowing, you know, that there is a light that never goes out, and you carry it with you. And that's why you're different. That's why, you know, it doesn't matter what you believe, honestly, in my opinion, or where you came from, or what you did or haven't done, or it's a frequency that you carry that sets you apart from everybody else. And it's not because you're better than anybody, it's just a light that you carry. They could carry it too if they wanted to. Maybe they don't choose to, they don't know, but you know. So just remember you carry that, and it does make you special, it makes you different, and it makes you beautiful. It makes me grateful to be your sister. It really does make me grateful. So, kind of a cool night, wasn't it? All as it's meant to be is my mantra in life. If I were to get a tattoo on my back, it would say, all as it's meant to be. Because it just allows you to release. So thank you to our crystals and our tools for holding the space with us tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next time. And your guidance. Yeah, a lot of you stayed awake, right? If they say they can't help you, it means sometimes that's a not yet. You remember, all prayer is answered in yes, no, or not right now. So sometimes we have to sit in ambiguity and discomfort, and I know that from experience, because some things just can't be reconciled right now. And again, like I don't know why that makes me teary to tell you that, but I guess because if I could fix things for you or solve things for you or push fast forward for you, I would. But sometimes the learning requires that you sit without having things fixed or solved. Because there's wisdom there too. In hindsight, right? Yeah. Yes, no, and not right now. Doesn't mean no, it just means you're in the dark forest, right? But we all go there from time to time. Nobody lives there, but we all have to visit. No? You felt all the energy at your third eye? No, I think that's beautiful. I do, I think it's beautiful. That could be an awakening of your ajna too, you know? Yeah, you know, remember, this is not a race. This is not a contest. This isn't a who gets there faster. Right? Slow it down. Take your time. In the grand scheme, right? This is a blink. So just slow it down. Let it be what it is. It's all leading you somewhere. The only thing I do know for sure, we've talked a lot about tonight about like all the shit I don't know. Can I tell you the one thing I do know? There's one thing I do know that I will like take to the mat with me. There's one thing I do know that's absolutely true and for sure. You ready? Because literally the rest of it, who the fuck knows? The one thing I do know for sure, you're not alone. Even if you're literally all alone, like right now I'm all alone in this room, I'm physically alone, but I'm not alone. You're not alone. That's the one thing I know for sure. In fact, if you knew how not alone you were, you'd probably think it was really creepy. You'd be like, I thought I was alone in this room and there's like 800 of you here and this is weird. Right? You're not alone. Yeah. Let's release all those guides and guardians. You ready? It can be creepy when you realize how many of them are around. It's like I'm becoming more clairvoyant, which is creeping me out. I mean, you know that your psychic gifts get stronger as you get older, but I'm becoming more clairvoyant, and there's just a lot of stuff happening in my peripheral vision lately that didn't used to happen, and I'm starting to go like, like, are people seeing me do this? Like, you guys are creepers. Yeah, and that's right. You can be in a room with so many people and still feel alone. It's not about quantity, it's about quality, right? The one thing I'm really happy about that in my life that I feel really good about is I have created virtual communities where people who always felt alone don't feel alone anymore. And even once they're not in the communities anymore, they're like, I'm really glad I have these connections, right? That makes me feel good. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, it's a way of coming home, right? All right, guides and guardians, you did a good job tonight. They're like, don't tell us we did a good job. You did a good job. Okay. So we're releasing all guides and guardians from all dimensions, timelines, and frequencies, including our spirit guides, ascended masters, ancestors, and the light. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're releasing all the Syrian star seeds and star guides. Releasing the constellation itself. Thank you for letting us wish upon your star tonight. Releasing the guides and the guardians of the lower world, the middle world, and the upper world. Back from whence you came. And then releasing the guides and the guardians of the north. Releasing earth. In the west, releasing water. In the south, releasing fire. In the east, releasing air. In our bodies, releasing tension, anxiety, stress, illness, disease, pain, discomfort, tension at all levels, releasing tension from the muscles, releasing tension from the central nervous system, giving every muscle and every nerve in our body permission to relax, to soften, to open, softening the digestive system, releasing tension there. system, softening our skin, softening any pressure and tension around the joints, softening our words, softening our thoughts, releasing everything that needs to be released in this moment. And letting us just melt into this here now moment, giving thanks for our time, for this space, for each other. And together we say, Amen. Aho. And so it is. Be at peace, not in pieces. Be at peace, not in pieces. Be at peace and not in pieces. So glad you were here. Thank you, Londa. Thank you, Janine and Jill and Katrina and Kimberly and Cindy and Dr. Chris. Thank you. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Marty. Thank you to Karen and Alexis. Thank you to Barbara and Jeanette. Thank you to Cindy for being here. Thank you to Debbie. Thank you to Rosa and Rebecca and Debbie. So glad you were here. Thank you. Thank you. You did great tonight. Cheers and cheers and cheers. So, as per the usual, drink a lot of water. You've released a lot tonight. You've called in a lot of light energy. It can make you headachy. Did you know that? When you call in a lot of light codes and frequencies, it can activate your crown chakra and give you a headache. The antidote for that is hydration. Go have some herbal tea, drink some water. Fresh fruit's really nice after a nice journey too, just to sort of bathe your body in some good vitamins. Would be really nice too. Sometimes I'll take like fresh fruit, like some oranges or some limes or some whatever, and put it in some water and drink it. You know, some strawberries if you have it. Go in your garden, get some mint or something like that, and just some herbal fruit water is really nice after this. Or just some nice herbal tea is easy too. Add some honey. Honey is really good for softening the system and creating flow. The ancient Greeks used it for exactly that purpose. So just a little herbal tea or some fruit water and some honey would be really wonderful for you tonight. Or just eat a spoonful of honey if you can tolerate it. If you have soup, that'd be great. But if you have a headache, and then if you have a headache, what you need to do is just take your left hand behind the back of the head and your right hand at the top of the head, and just apply some gentle pressure. Kind of turn from side to side. The other thing that helps to release that pressure and tension, this little webby thing between your thumb and your forefinger is an acupressure point for headache tension. Did you know this? Yeah, vitamin water is nice too. Does wine count as fresh fruit? No. Wine is not going to make this worse, so don't do that. Just take your thumb and your forefinger and push here, and then count to 3. 1, 2, 3. And then do the same thing on the other side. Thumb and forefinger between the thumb and the forefinger. And you can just kind of twist that a little bit. It always feels better if somebody else does it, but you can do it to yourself too. 1, 2, 3. And then again, you're just doing your left hand on the back of the head, right hand on the top of the head, just gently turning from side to side. That'll release that pressure really nicely for you too. Yeah, is it good for toothaches too? My only recommendation is not a lot of animal protein right now. Just take it easy tonight with whatever you eat. You know, make it nice and light and easy. I made pasta today, and So probably have a little bit of that for dinner, just not a lot of like heavy, dense. Don't go have a steak and eggs or anything like that. Just make it nice and light and easy tonight. Keep the pressure points going. Tapping helps too, right? But this little trick right here is really, really good. If you have our sinus relief inhaler, that's got all your essential oils in it too, so that's a helpful little tool for after ceremony too. You don't have to eat at all, Zoe, if you don't want to be grounded. So like, I'm not going to eat a ton tonight. I'm not a night eater though. I'm a daytime eater. That's how I maintain my weight. I really don't eat after 6 p.m. It sounds super boring, but I really don't. Because I'm not very active after 6, so I tend to gain weight if I do that. So I tend to have my bigger meal in the middle of the day and then kind of like lighter things at night. So I'm going to have just a little bit of pasta and some fruit water tonight, and that'll be it for me, or a little herbal tea. And then just do your pressure points, right? I'm going to have a salt bath tonight. Fish is always good for you, in my experience. Fish has lots of omega-3s, which is good for your cardiovascular health. Omega-3s. My friend Momo, who some of you know, he says that omega-3s are how you hydrate the inside of your body, right? So he's always like, omega-3s are like water on steroids, right? So omega-3s are really good for internal hydration, and fish is always going to provide that to you. Yeah. Epsom salt bath, lots of good water. If I was with you, like if I was in your house right now, I would draw a bath for you. I would make you some tea, and I would probably float a little bit of fresh fruit in your tea, a couple strawberries or a slice of orange. I would squeeze some good honey in there. I'd probably feed you a spoonful of honey, and then I would either massage the back of your neck, or I would push on your pressure points while you're in the bathtub. But I'm not there, so you need to do that for yourself. But yeah, fish is always good. Fish is medicine. You know, I know a lot of people don't like to eat fish, which is totally fine too. I respect, you know, the pathway that does not eat fish, but it's very good for you, especially with the oils that it brings. So it's very good for you. Yeah. Yeah, I know. So if I was with you, I would do all those things for you. So go do it for yourself, or pretend it's me. I would light candles. I would tell you, you're not doing anything. I'm going to take care of everything for you. I just want you to lay down and relax, right? So I have this dream of opening a retreat center when I'm older. I still have that dream of like being able to take care of people, like take them on really good journeys, and then go and tuck them all into bed and bring them tea and massage them and all of those things. We'll see if that happens in my later years. But anyway, mwah. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, you guys. It was so good to be with you. So I will tell you, tomorrow night from 5 to 6 p.m., Tara and I are going to be live on YouTube for free, talking about the fact that Pluto is changing sign, which is a big deal. It only happens every 2 decades. It's a whole paradigm shift for our entire society and culture, and this is what a lot of us are feeling that we can't quite put words to. So if you want to hear more about that, we have a whole fun curriculum to share with you tomorrow night, just an hour-long conversation. So we'll be on YouTube tomorrow night if you want to come and enjoy that little shebang with me and one of my favorite people on the planet, Tara All, who's an incredible astrologer, you know, in her own right. So we're really excited. We'll see you tomorrow night. And in the meantime, love you. Thank you for being there. Thank you to Karen and Alexis too. We'll see you soon. Next Elder Council is in 2023. Cheers to that. We'll see you soon.